In 2022, we celebrate 130 years of HBCU football. On December 27th, 1892, Livingstone and Biddle College, now known as Johnson C. Smith University, played in Salisbury, North Carolina, with Biddle winning 5-0. Over time, HBCU football has evolved. HBCU football's popularity continues to rise. Millions attend games each year and millions more watch on television. The HBCU bands provide some of the top entertainment in the country. Over that time, some of the best players to ever play in the National Football League played at HBCUs. Every Monday through Friday on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, national radio and television host Donal Ware takes a look at what's happening in HBCU football and talks with coaches, players, administrators, and media about the 2022 season. Make sure you join the conversation on social media by using the hashtag HBCU130. Now, here's your host, Donal Ware.
You've got it locked to the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. For today, Tuesday, September the 20th, I'm Donal Ware. It's Takeaway Tuesday here on the podcast. Got a couple of takeaways from week 3 in HBCU football. First of all, I want to say we had 7 teams in HBCUs that were undefeated coming in to week 3, and 6 remain undefeated. Benedict, Virginia Union, Hampton, Langston, Fort Valley State, and North Carolina Central all remain undefeated. And, I'd have to really kind of think back to when the last time we had that many teams undefeated 3 weeks into the season. I mean, with 3 weeks, I mean, that's 4 weeks, if you really think about it, if you count the opening week, you've got 6 teams that are undefeated. So that's a great feat in of itself. Let's take a look at the HBCU polls, beginning with the coaches poll. Jackson State received all but one first place vote. Is number 1. South Carolina State received the other first place vote. Number 2, North Carolina Central is number 3. Alcorn State with a big win, as a matter of fact, over McNeese State. We'll talk about that. That's one of my takeaways. Is number 4. And then Hampton. Hampton continues to move up in the polls. You look at Hampton beating Morehouse up in New York. I mean, that's all wins are good wins. And so Hampton remains undefeated at 3-0 and rounds out the top 5. Taking a look at the media poll, Jackson State received all the first place votes. South Carolina State number 3, South Carolina State number 2, North Carolina Central number 3. Albany State moves up after the loss to Florida A&M a couple of weeks ago, defeated Shorter, moves up to number 4, and then Virginia Union rounds out the top 5, and you can get all of the the entire polls, both polls in their entirety, on our website at box2row.com. On our website at box2row.com. Couple of takeaways, from week number 3 in HBCU football. Number 1, North Carolina Central. I think when you look at the Eagles defeating number 25 New Hampshire and 45-27, I mean, that's a really, really good win. I don't remember the last time an HBCU FCS defeated a non-HBCU FCS that was ranked in the top 25. So that in of itself is great, to the point that North Carolina Central is now in the top 25. So in essence, it replaced the team it beat in New Hampshire in terms of being currently ranked number 25 in the country. It's been since 2017 since North Carolina Central was ranked in the top 25. I think that's big. You look at Davius Richard, the quarterback, really a splendid game. He goes 18 of 27, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He rushes for another 140 yards in the game, in excess, or really to be exact, 334 yards of total offense. He also had the 3 touchdowns, responsible for 3 touchdowns on the season. I go back to the game against A&T to open the season. He was responsible for 4 touchdowns, and he's only thrown 1 interception the entire season. So he is really playing at another level and really has propelled this Eagles team to where it is at 3-0 on the season. And again, a big win over New Hampshire. My second takeaway, Jackson State. Jackson State is playing some unbelievable football right now. I mean, absolutely blew Grambling out 66-24. This is the thing, right? Like this was it was a close game. I mean, Jackson State got out to the 14-0 lead. You look at what Grambling was able to do, come back and tie the game at 14 apiece. As Jackson State goes up by a touchdown, Grambling able to come back, get a field goal to pull it to within 21-7. And then from that point, Jackson State really just took over this football game. And the way that quarterback Shedeur Sanders is playing, he's playing as well as any collegiate football player in the country. Okay, he's tied for 4th in FCS in terms of passing touchdowns. He has 10. He has nary a pick, not a single pick, 10 touchdowns to no interceptions on the season. Unbelievable. You look at his completion percentage, it's at 73%. He's completing an unbelievable 73% of his passes. He's playing lights out. I think Jackson State made a statement, especially coming off a close, semi-close game, even though a victory. I mean, that defense is just tremendous, been tremendous for Jackson State all season long, and a tremendous defensive effort. Going back to the game against Tennessee State, especially when the offense didn't get as many points as you would have liked for the offense to, and then to come back with 66 points against Grambling, I think was impressive. So Jackson State continues to roll, and that's takeaway number 2. Takeaway number 3 for me is Alcorn State's victory. I mean, I think when you look at Alcorn State on the season, and it started the season out 0-2, a tough loss. Really, when you look at playing against Tulane on last week, and then to come right back in a hostile environment at McNeese State, who is a perennial playoff team. This is a perennial playoff team, and to come back with that victory. And I mean, I look at what Alcorn State was able to do, and this to me was a vintage defensive effort by Alcorn State. I look at the Braves. I mean, they did enough of what they needed to do from an offensive standpoint. You look at the quarterback, Aaron Allen, 15-27, 189 yards, 1 touchdown on the game. But from an offensive perspective, what the Braves want to do is run the football. They did that well, 215 yards rushing in the game. But there were some points where, especially late in the game, Alcorn State was only able to get a couple of field goals to put the Braves up by 11 points. But that defense really clamped down. I had a chance to I was listening to, by the way, shouts out to Charles Edmond, the play-by-play voice for Alcorn State. Now, Charles has been doing this a long time. As a matter of fact, I think almost 30 years now, if not 30 years, going back to when Steve McNair was playing at Alcorn State as well. So I listened to that game, some good defensive stops, especially in the fourth quarter by Alcorn State. And it's just a sound victory for the Braves. My fourth takeaway, Bowie State. Bowie State's lost a couple of games in a row, and it's a twofold with this fourth takeaway. Losing to Shaw. I think Shaw has got a real opportunity at that CIAA Southern Division this year. Of course, Fayetteville State's going to have a lot to say about that. Fayetteville State winning another game as well. But Bowie State now 1-2 on the season. It's been a tough start for Kyle Jackson, still ranked number 10 in the HBCU media poll. But if you're Bowie State, you want to get back on track. And I mean, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt, winning 3 straight CIAA championships and the success that the program has had the last 6 or 7 years. So they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. But, got to win a football game this upcoming Saturday. Meanwhile, I look at Shaw and I'm like, okay, this was a really good win to get back on track. The Bears couldn't afford to go 0-3. Now, everything's still ahead of the Bears. And with that being said, even if the Bears had lost to Bowie State, still everything ahead, especially when it comes to division play. But you need a victory like that if you're Shaw. You need a victory over a really good program, a nationally respected, a well-respected program. And Adrian Jones and his crew was able to get that win. So we'll see ultimately if that can continue for the Shaw Bears. Couple of takeaways again, as this is Takeaway Tuesday from week 3 in HBCU football. And again, I just look at Hampton. Wow, 3-0 on the season, climbing up in the HBCU polls. I look at Benedict, Fort Valley State, Virginia Union not slowing down anytime soon. Langston out to that really good start. I tell you what, it's good to see our programs in the position that our programs are in, and also at the FCS level with North Carolina Central and Hampton, both at 3-0 on the season. So that's what I've got for you for today's HBCU Football Daily Podcast on Takeaway Tuesday. Any thoughts? If you have any thoughts, hit us up via Twitter at Box2Row, BOXTOROW, or on Facebook, BOX2ROW. Use the hashtag HBCU130. Don't forget to tell a couple of friends about the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, where you can download and listen to the podcasts on our website at box2row.com, also iHeartMedia.com, and wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you can check us out on the Box2Row YouTube page. Talk with you tomorrow.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. You can also listen to the podcast at box2row.com, iHeartMedia, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to get your HBCU football fix on Box2Row with Donal Ware each weekend on the radio station near you, and on SiriusXM on HBCU Channel 142, and on ESPNU Radio on SiriusXM Channel 84. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Box2Row for the latest in HBCU football, and don't forget to tell a friend.